Welcome Planeswalkers to the CollectorMania YouTube channel. My name is Eric Ward, and today we're doing a questionable commander deck tech featuring Slinn Voda, the Rising Deep. If you haven't seen Slinn Voda, he's pretty interesting. We got a 6 and 2 blue for an 8/8 with a kicker of 1 and a blue. Whenever Slinn Voda, the Rising Deep, enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return all creatures to opponent's hands except for Merfolk, Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents. This guy is uncommon. He's kind of had a little bit more interest in the Pauper realm, I'd say, but we wanted to do a questionable commander deck tech for a regular 100 card, rares allowed deck tech. So, breaking into things, we're going with a Merfolk. Of course, all of these creature types type theme. To start things off, we have Coralhelm Commander, just a level up with a Merfolk Lord ability if he's level 4 or higher. Harbinger of the Tides, of course, you can play him with Flash. When he enters the battlefield, return target tap creature to his owner's hand. Another Lord here, there's a number of Lords. The Lord of Atlantis, giving Merfolk +1/+1. Master of the Pearl Trident, +1/+1 and Island Walk. Merfolk Looter, looting is awesome. Drawing a card and discarding something you don't need feels good. Metallic Mimic, kind of one of the artifact lords here, just choosing pretty much anything, but likely Merfolk. Silvergill Adept, making him cheaper by revealing a Merfolk and then drawing a card. Stony Brook Banneret, making Merfolk and Wizard spells cost 1 less to play. Adaptive Automaton, another artifact lord for our Merfolk. Burnished Heart, just to get some islands into play. Kapala, boy oh boy. Spells your opponents cast that target Merfolk cost 2 more, and abilities that target them also cost 2 more to activate. So, great Merfolk kind of synergy, like almost like a Lord, but doesn't pump, just keeps everybody safe. Merfolk Sovereign, another Lord. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Miro Regery, another Lord. And whenever you cast a Merfolk, you may tap or untap target permanent. Sigil Tracer, tap 2 untap wizards you control, copy an instant or sorcery. There's not a huge wizard build in here, but even if you can cast something somebody else has, it's a good threat there. Thada Adele, really great one, especially with Island Walk if somebody's got islands. There, of course, are a number of ways in blue, like Spreading Seas or Quicksilver Fountain, to give islands to players, but you can pull something out of their library and play it from their deck. So great card. Thassa, of course, odds are you will have the devotion to this card, but really we want the Scry. If you need to swing through with a single creature, you can pay for it. True Name Nemesis, of course, one of the best Merfolks that exists. Protection from a player. Who could complain? Wake Thresher. This card can get out of control really quick. Whenever a permanent you control becomes untapped, Wake Thresher gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So just tap a whole bunch of stuff, give him +1/+1 counters, out of control. Master of Waves, again, another Merfolk with some protection, and he's a wizard. And you can make a school of elemental creatures that are 2/1s. Miro Harbinger comes into play. You may search for a good Merfolk, say like a True Name Nemesis or a Master of Waves. Riverwise Augur, when he enters the battlefield, draw 3 and put 2 on the top in any order. So kind of like a Brainstorm there. Seafloor Oracle, whenever a Merfolk you control deals damage to a player, draw. So another way to just draw off combat damage. Sea Hunter, search your library for a Merfolk and put it into play. So really awesome card there. Yeah, awesome, affordable thing. You know, it kind of stinks that he's just a mercenary, but a great effect for a Merfolk deck. Solemn, of course, just for a little bit of ramp and a threatening draw as a chump blocker. Tempest Caller, when he enters the battlefield, tap all creatures target opponent controls. So if you need to swing through with a Leviathan with a horde of Merfolk, this is your guy. Ink Fathom Divers, of course, Island Walk, when he enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put them back in any order. Serpent of the Endless Sea, I think our first Serpent here, can't attack unless defending player controls an island, so, and he's got power toughness equal to number of islands. Next, Storm Surge Kraken, he's got Hexproof and Lieutenant, he gets +2/+2. If you've got your commander, and whenever he becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards, so pretty decent, 7/7 for 5. If you've got your commander. Deep Channel Mentor. Blue creatures you control have unblockable, so that's really good. Shipbreaker Kraken with some monstrosity here. When he becomes Monstrous, tap up to 4 creatures, then they don't untap as long as you control him. Wanderwine Prophets, champion a Merfolk, which is doable. And if you don't know what that means, you just take away a merfolk in play and put this guy like on top of him. Whenever Wandervine profits deals combat damage to a player, you can sacrifice a merfolk if you do take an extra turn. So pretty threatening there. Pearl Lake Ancient, I think, maybe our first Leviathan, can't be countered, and he's got prowess, and you can return lands to return him to hand. Scourge of the Fleets, when he enters the battlefield, return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less, where X is the number of islands. So odds are, anything that's going to be 7 toughness or less is going to get bounced. I don't know, Tromokratus, I guess, another Kraken. 8/8 is hexproof unless he's attacking or blocking. Can't be blocked unless all creatures defending a player controls blocks him. So a good way it's like a lure on a blue Kraken, essentially. Elder Deep Fiend for 8, and you can pay as a merge. Tap up to 4 target permanents, so not too bad. We have Lorthos the Tidemaker. When he attacks, you may pay 8. If you do, tap up to 8 target permanents. Those permanents don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. Great way to clear the way. Even the table could cooperate and kill somebody with that activation. Stormtide Leviathan, of course, a great choice. All lands become islands, so that helps with all of our island walk, and creatures without flying or island walk can't attack. So usually this guy is a game ender if he hits the board, especially with a bunch of blue stuff that's huge or swarmy like Merfolk. A Breaching Leviathan, another commander product card. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, all non-blue creatures, or tap all non-blue creatures, those creatures don't untap during the next step. Inkwell Leviathan, one of my favorites. Pretty tough to deal with if he's out there. Island Walk, Trample, and Shroud. Deep Sea Kraken, a good threat here with Suspend. 9 counters on him when he, essentially somebody casts a spell, an opponent, remove a counter, and he comes into play. Elixir of Immortality is our first artifact here. A good way to get our graveyard back into our library if we're in need of it, and gain some life if necessary. Relic of Progenitus, of course, a perfect choice if somebody's got a graveyard strategy, just to keep them locked down with the tap ability, and if something bad is about to happen, just pay 1, exile it, draw a card, and remove somebody's graveyard. Or all graveyard, excuse me. Sensei's some top deck filtering there. Soul Ring, of course, some mana rock mana. Lightning Greaves, keeping this commander safe with Shroud isn't a huge deal, rather than having hexproof or something, but giving him haste is a big deal. So, obvious choice there. Extraplanar Lens. One thing, I usually don't try to run all of the land buffers unless it's kind of necessary. Given that we want to cast this commander for at least 10 or more if he's died a whole bunch, makes doubling our mana important. The trick is blue is not very good at it. So, you'll see later, this deck runs all snow-covered islands. The idea with Extraplanar Lens, you can exile snow-covered island. Only snow-covered island players are going to get double mana, so you and likely no one else. But that'll help us play our commander more quickly. Imagine with that, you'd need, essentially turn 6, you could play what would be your 6th land. One of them will be exiled with the Lens earlier, but then you could cast your commander for its kicker cost on turn 5. So, like I said, the snow-covered strategy, I think, could be employed here. It's not necessary, but having a Lens isn't a bad idea. The trick is finding those snow-covers can be a little bit, A, tricky, and B, expensive. Next, Sculpting Steel, of course. You can even Sculpting Steel a Extraplanar Lens and get 3 mana for your snow-covered islands. Or if somebody's got a Soul Ring or a sword that you want, you can have a copy too. Biden of Thassa, of course, whenever you deal damage, you get to draw a card. And creatures your opponents control attack. So if somebody's sitting back with something pesky like a Seedborn Muse or something, you can make them swing. Door of Destiny, choose probably Merfolk. You could also choose like Leviathan or Kraken, and then whenever one of those comes in, you add a counter. Those types of creatures get a counter, or plus equal to that number of counters. Gauntlet of Power, another way to double your mana production. This one, of course, will affect your opponents, so not as good, but still decent, especially if we want to cast our commander multiple times later game. Cage Sun will help you, but a little bit expensive there. It's awesome to kind of sync all of these up. Turn 4, play the Extraplanar Lens. Turn 5, Sculpting Steel. Cage Sun, you can go on and on from there. Staff of Nin, great way to draw an extra card and ping some pesky planeswalkers or something. Into our enchantments, we have Quest for Ula's Temple. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may reveal it and put a quest counter on Ula's Temple. At the beginning of each end step, if there are 3 or more quest counters on it, you may put a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent card from your hand into the battlefield. So odds are is that will be triggered pretty easy, especially starting the game. This might get you killed in the meantime, but it's an awesome way to cheat in some really expensive Krakens and Leviathans and stuff. We have Miro Commerce. At the end of your turn, untap all merfolk you control, so not bad there. Deeproot Waters. Whenever you cast a merfolk, create a 1/1 merfolk with hexproof. Dissipation Field. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to its owner's hand. Kindred Discovery. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, probably merfolk again. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield, draw a card. Great way to restock your hand. Kind of some odd colors. Okay, I had to do it for this one, guys. We have Cyclonic Rift. The deck is kind of built off those mechanics anyway, but, you know, bouncing everybody's stuff except yours is a game-finishing, like, blow usually. So, really awesome card. I know I hate it, but blue needs it sometimes. And in this questionable commander deck tech, I think Cyclonic Rift counts. Into our sorceries, of course, we have the Ancestral Vision, just to draw 3 cards later in the game. Rite of Replication, just to copy a whole bunch of stuff. Say it's a non-legendary Kraken or Leviathan, or even if somebody's got something really great, you can make a bunch of them yourself. Whelming Wave is kind of Slinn Voda's like effect on a sorcery, except it does hit merfolks, return everything except Krakens, Leviathans, Octopus, and Serpents. Crush of Tentacles, kind of flavor there. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. If Crush of Tentacles Surge cost was page, put an 8/8 Octopus into the battlefield. And as far as lands, Halimar Depths, just to help us sort through the first 3 turns of the game if it's in your opening hand, just to settle things out there. Homeward Path, the last thing you want is your commander to not have hexproof and get taken from you, so you can give it back to yourself. Myriad Landscape, again for monocolored decks, you can't beat it. Just kind of crack it and get 2 lands, in this case islands or snow-covered islands, into play tapped. Reliquary Tower, just to keep our hand size at infinite, essentially. And our snow-covered islands here. If you're curious about checking out the deck list, it's in the description. If you have any suggestions, let us know in the comments. If you like the video, like it. If you want to see more, subscribe. And stay tuned for more deck techs. Hopefully not all questionable, but we'll see you next time.